I applied to the program for multiple reasons. I think first and foremost is that the opportunity to travel, to be able to live and work in a place that is potentially really different from your own context always creates opportunities. It creates awareness, and I specifically am most interested in how when we remove ourselves from our everyday habits, behaviors, places, and place ourselves somewhere for more of an extended duration. Not that we're just visiting a place for a vacation, but actually getting to exist in a new city, a new studio, a new home for any length of time, that it shifts things for individuals, our behaviors, our things that we notice. And for me, much of my work is about that. And so when we have sort of a parallax in a way, we have a shift of that view, it informs my work in a very important way. And so I think the opportunity to be in Berlin for 3 months without any other external pressures, without deadlines, gave me an opportunity to not only make work while I was there, but sort of collect experiences, look around me, notice what started to change in my own daily habits, and then to bring that back home and let it inform the work that came after. The size of the studio and the nature of the studio and the facilities are amazing. It just provided so much empty, clean, blank slate kind of space to do something in that I wouldn't normally have in my own studio. But I would say even more importantly for me is being in Berlin and recognizing some things about Berlin that took a little time to sort of creep in, but to just spend time walking through my own neighborhood, which is in Kreuzberg, right, where the studio is in Kreuzberg, but then outside of that area into other neighborhoods. But recognizing some things about Berlin and the way they sort of very specifically how they honor sort of all layers of history, of patterns, of accumulation, that they've, I think I'm less interested in a place in terms of its political history, but Berlin it's sort of undeniable there, this sort of historic and political, socio-political history, but the way that is so clearly evident without even looking at, perfectly accurate historical timeline, looking at it in a physical way in the streets of Berlin, that it's an old city, it's a very formal city, and then you have these, levels of marks that were made or left from the wars, World War II in particular, obviously, and then moving into the division into East and West Berlin, the wall being this really clear demarcation. But then on top of that, the sort of revolt, there's a revolt against that still exists in layers through things like street art and graffiti, the way they layer up posters and information that is sort of much more mass communications on the streets, and it's all layered over this very formal architecture and these sort of layers of history. And I really started to appreciate how they honor all of that. There's no one part, I think, that they try to cover up or undo. And that had a real effect on me, is sort of recognizing that accumulation of textures and patterns. And so the takeaway for me was very much about looking at patterns and interruptions. I think unlike other international cities where you might land on the surface and sort of see the highlights of a city and walk away feeling like you know it, Berlin really easily and very quickly allows you to sink in a little bit deeper. And I think that might be due to its background in that, when the wall came down, they immediately wanted to throw out an invitation to the international community to have have creative people come to Berlin, and I think that that has fostered an environment that is really kind of unique, particularly in the European world. Even Germans will say that Berlin is not Germany, that it is sort of an anomaly, but I think it's one that everybody should take advantage of and spend some time in.